Hey guys, welcome to Geo Apps Lesson 12.4, Area of Irregular Shapes. How do we find the area of an irregular shape? Well, first thing we're going to do is we are going to find the area of the individual shapes and add or subtract as necessary. All right, so some of the shapes that you're going to see, rectangle, circle, semicircle, let's just quickly review the area formulas for those shapes. Area of a rectangle is pretty straightforward. You guys probably already know it. Length times width. Area of a circle we talked about earlier in this unit. That's going to be pi r squared. And area of a semicircle, which is half a circle, is simply going to be a equals 1/2 pi r squared. And we're going to be using all of those in today's lesson. So let's take a look at our first example. Find the area of the shape below to the nearest tenth. All right, well, I'm finding the area of the whole shape. All right, so I'm going to try and use some colors here. So the area of the whole shape is going to be this right here. Well, that's made up of two individual shapes. The first one I'll outline in blue is this rectangle right here. So I'm going to find the area of that first. Area of that rectangle is simply length times width. So that's going to be 6 times 10, which is 60. So the other shape I need to find the area of is this blue shape here, which is a half circle. So that's going to be 1/2 pi r squared. Now we have to be careful here because I need the radius. So if you notice, the diameter here is going to be 6, so the radius is going to be 3. So that's going to be 3 squared. I'm going to throw that into the calculator. Let me check right here. I got 14.137 ... And I want to round this to nearest tenth, so that's going to be 14.1. So now the area total, so I'll put T for total, in this case is going to be the sum of those two shapes because I have to add them together. So that's going to be 60 plus 14.1. That's going to give me 74.1. So that's going to be the area of this shape to the nearest tenth. Okay, our next example. Similar to the one we did, because I'm going to be using the same two shapes. I'm going to be using a rectangle and a semicircle. But notice here, this is a little bit different. So I've got a rectangle. All right, so let me find the area of that rectangle first. That's length times width, so that's going to be 4 times 5. That's going to be 20. And here's my semicircle. Okay, well, the diameter is 4, so that means the radius is 2. So that's going to be 1/2 pi r squared, 1/2 times pi times 2 squared. All right, and let me check my calculator for that. I got 6.28 ... which is going to be 6.3 to the nearest tenth. But now, what are we doing with these two numbers? If you take a look at the original green shape here, do you notice the semicircle cuts into the rectangle? So for my total area in this case, I'm going to subtract those two. It's going to be 20 minus 6.3, and that gives me 13.7. So you're not always going to be adding, you're not always going to be subtracting. It just depends on the shape and what you're doing. But basically you can see here that we cut out this part from the sheet of paper, if you will. And if you cut it out, you're going to be subtracting it. Example 3, I need to find the area of this shape below. And it looks a little bit different than the ones we've been doing. So I'm just going to outline this whole thing in green here. I need to find the area of this whole shape. So everything inside here. Like we did before, what I want to do is I want to break this down into the shapes that I know. So the first thing I recognize is what's in the middle here is a square. And I want to find the area of that square. Well, it's going to be length times width. In a square, they're both the same. So in this case, it's going to be 8 times 8, 64. So what I've taken care of is this piece right here. But now what else do I have? If I outline these other shapes here, that's a semicircle, this is a semicircle. Basically, I have 4 semicircles that are attached to this square. And I need to find the area of all of these. Well, if you think about this, 4 semicircles is the same as 2 circles, right? This half and this half make up 1, and then this one here and that one there make up 1. So I'm going to find the area by taking 2 times pi r squared. So that's going to be 2 pi times, what's the radius? Well, if the length of the side of the square is 8, my radius is 4. All right, that's going to be the radius right there. That's going to be 4. So I'm going to put 4 here. I'm going to square that. So if I put that into the calculator, I end up getting 100.5. So now at the end, what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, well, do I add these together or do I subtract them? In this case, I think you can see I want the area of the whole thing. So I'm going to need the area of the square, everything in here, plus everything in the semicircles. So I'm just going to add those together. So my area total is going to be 64 plus 100.5. So that's going to give me 164.5. All right, a couple more. This question is actually kind of neat. Because when you take a look at this, you're like, well, it looks like I'm adding a semicircle over here. But here I'm actually subtracting the semicircle. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to see if I can do this. I don't know if I'll be able to. But what I need to do is I need to take this semicircle here, all right, and I need to fill in there. So by filling it in there, you've subtracted it from here. Basically, all we have in this situation is a rectangle. So if I find the area of just this rectangle, it's the same as finding the area of the original shape, because I'm kind of taking the semicircle on the left side and filling in the absence of it on the right side. So all you have to do for area of this shape is simply length times width, 4 times 5, and that's 20. It says nearest 10, so I'll just call it 20.0. So that's kind of a neat question. That's a little bit of a shortcut you can do when you can take one piece and fill it in for the other. All right, in the last example, find the area of the shape below. So what we have here, obviously I need to find the area of this whole shape. Well, what's that made up of? It's made up of this rectangle here, so I'm going to find that area. That's going to be length times width. So that's going to be length times width. The height, or width, if you will, is 6. The length is 12. That's going to be 72. So now, what else do I have? I've got a semicircle here, and I have a semicircle here. Now, 2 semicircles just makes 1 circle. So I can simply take pi r squared, and that's going to give me the area of the 2 semicircles or the 1 circle. Again, here's where you just want to be careful. The radius is 3. All right, it's half of that diameter. So I'm going to put a 3 here. I'm going to square that, put that into the calculator, and I got 28.274 ... which the nearest tenth is 28.3. So now again, real quick, before you deal with those numbers, just figure out, am I adding or am I subtracting here? Well, I'm adding, right? I'm taking these 2 pieces on the end, and I'm adding them to this area in the middle. So my total area is going to be 72 plus 28.3, and that gives you 100.3. So that's the area of the shape to the nearest tenth. All right, guys, thanks for following along. You can now go on Delta Math and complete homework 12.4. You've got until Friday to do that. As usual, please reach out if you have any questions or comments or concerns, if you notice any mistakes, anything like that. Thanks a lot.